of us can fathom it, we see you there in your kit, thinking, running, drawing enemy fire, shepherding and leading, protecting others ahead of yourself, again and again and again. Not until you were exhausted or too terrified to risk another move, but until the job was done. Corporal Keighran, there will be intensely private moments about that day in Derapet that you will wish never to share. You should respect that instinct, as we will. It is a matter most public that you have saved precious lives and defended and moved a nation. It is quite another matter that you have pushed the bounds of human compassion, endurance and gallantry to a place unknown to most and revered by all. With this medal, your nation honours you. The Victoria Cross for Australia, the most eminent award our country can bestow. Corporal Daniel Keighran, for valour.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister of Australia, the Honourable Julia Gillard.
It's with a tremendous sense of pride that I am here today to honour Corporal Daniel Keighran. I join with Her Excellency and with every distinguished guest here in paying tribute to you and to your courage. Daniel, Catherine, if I can say something personally to you, we had the opportunity to meet yesterday. It was only for a brief time, but I've left that meeting with a very clear impression of the two of you. And I'm very clear in my impression that pomp and circumstance is not your natural home, and that there are aspects of today that you have probably thought about a great deal and maybe even lived a little bit in trepidation of. I've also left with a very clear impression about your modesty, about the amazing acts of valour that you performed. And so to you, Corporal Keighran, here today, despite your modesty, we acknowledge those acts of valour. We acknowledge them because it is always important to accurately record the history of our nation and what makes our nation. And these acts of courage speak to who we are as Australians. You don't need to be a religious person to understand the force of the words that greater love have no man than to lay down his life for his friends. You showed your preparedness to lay down your life for your mates. We are so glad that your spectacular acts of bravery still saw you returned home to us safe and to your family and friends safe. But they were spectacular acts of bravery where in the moment you did not put your personal safety first, but you put that Anzac tradition of mateship first. That's why we are honouring you today. That's why it will be another moment in our history where we can say that this is the best of who we are and the best of what Australians can do. Thank you for proving that once again for our nation. I trust in the days to come that apart from the whirlwind, there are some quiet moments for you to reflect with your family and friends on what this means. You can tell some remarkable stories. You told me some yesterday about the difference in sound a bullet makes depending on how close it is to your head, and that you were conscious of that in the moment. A remarkable story. Catherine told me that perhaps she didn't really know why you were getting the VC until it was clear that you were getting the Victoria Cross because you hadn't come home to share that. That was something that you had kept to yourself and to your mates. All of that speaks of a tremendously Australian character. That's who you are, and we honour you today.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Leader of the Opposition, the Honourable Tony Abbott.
Your Excellency, Prime Minister, ladies and gentlemen, this is Australia's 99th Victoria Cross and the 3rd Victoria Cross for Australia. Daniel Keighran joins a remarkable elite, the best of the best and the bravest of the brave. Those of us who have relatively safe lives are in awe of those who don't. Those of us who don't serve in the armed forces and who don't put our lives on the line for our country are in awe of those who do. It was the famous Dr. Johnson who once observed, "Every man doth despise himself for never having been a soldier." How much more powerfully then are we affected by someone who is not just a soldier, not just a returned warrior, but a holder of the Victoria Cross. What drives one man, but not others, to repeatedly risk his life for his mates? We don't know, but we salute you, Daniel Keighran, VC, soldier of the 6th Royal Australian Regiment. 6 RAR hasn't always received the recognition that it deserves. I am sure that every soldier, but particularly every past and present member of the 6th Royal Australian Regiment takes particular pride in this award today. We all do. We honour you. We salute you. You are one of us. We are so proud of you.
The Minister for Defence, the Honourable Stephen Smith.
Your Excellency, the Governor-General, the Prime Minister, the Leader of the Opposition, the Chief Justice of the High Court, General Hurley, the Chief of the Defence Force, other service chiefs, my ministerial and parliamentary colleagues, members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and most importantly, Daniel Keighran, VC, your wife Catherine, and members of your family. As the Governor-General said, the Victoria Cross for Australia bears 2 words, for valour. And as the Official Secretary said, it's our highest award for bravery and rightly takes precedence over all other Australian awards. Australia's first Victoria Cross was awarded before Federation in 1900 during the Boer War. 96 Australians were awarded the Victoria Cross under the old Imperial Honours system. The first Victoria Cross for Australia was awarded in January 2009 to then Trooper, now Corporal Mark Donaldson VC, who of course is with us today. The second was awarded to Corporal Ben Robert Smith in January 2011. And Corporal Keighran VC, yours today is only our 3rd to be so awarded. Like Trooper Donaldson and Corporal Robert Smith, you have truly shown us what it means by the words for valour. Your acts of conspicuous gallantry, devotion to duty, disregard for your own safety in the face of the enemy show us why the Victoria Cross is awarded in recognition of only the most exceptional courage. You serve now for all time as a reminder that a young Australian is capable of an extraordinary act of valour, capable of a standard of courage, of audacity and of a single-minded determination to help and to protect others. Your actions in August 2010 were of the highest order of selflessness and bravery. Your actions underscore the willingness of members of the Australian Defence Force to place duty above all else and highlight the sacrifice which members of the Australian Defence Force are always willing to make. Today, Daniel Keighran VC, you make your country proud. Today, you make all Australians proud. Today, our nation and our people salute you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Chief of the Defence Force, General Hurley.
Your Excellency, Prime Minister, Corporal Keighran, Catherine. One of my proudest roles as the Chief of the Defence Force is to recognise the outstanding work of the men and women who serve this nation as members of the ADF. The action at Derapet demonstrates there is nothing simple about war. Battles are frightening, confusing and confronting, yet there are also moments of crystal clarity. From the moment the partner patrol entered the village of Derapet, it was engaged by insurgents from multiple positions. As we have heard, with little regard for his own safety, Corporal Daniel Keighran deliberately and repeatedly drew intense enemy fire away from other members of the patrol. And despite the enemy bullets biting into the dirt at his feet, he returned fire and provided critical information about the insurgents' positions. Incredibly, he continued to mentor the Afghan National Army soldiers under his care and urged them on. Corporal Keighran acted with exceptional clarity and composure that spread to those around him, giving them confidence to operate effectively in an extremely stressful and dangerous situation. Corporal Keighran's actions identified and suppressed enemy firing points and turned the fight in our favour. Sadly, the contact at Derapet came at a cost. Lance Corporal Jared McKinney was killed in action, and Corporal Keighran deliberately exposed himself to enemy fire to assist with his comrades' evacuation. 5 Australians have now been recognised for their actions at Derapet. Corporal Keighran joined Sergeant Sean Lanigan and Private Paul Langer, who were awarded the Medal for Gallantry, and Lieutenant James Fanning, who received the Distinguished Service Medal. The 5th soldier, Private Sean Parker, was awarded a Commendation for Gallantry and deserves special mention. Private Parker was with Corporal Keighran throughout the fight. Private Parker provided covering fire while Corporal Keighran moved forward. The contact at Derapet was amongst the most intense we have witnessed in Afghanistan. Our diggers showed extraordinary bravery and dedication to duty. All Australians can be enormously proud of these young men and of the men and women who serve on operations in Afghanistan today. They're willing to take on the enemy and to do so in company with the Afghan troops they are mentoring. Corporal Keighran joins an esteemed group of Australians, revered for their courage in combat. The official citation will show that his valour is in keeping with the finest traditions of the Australian Army and the Australian Defence Force. But perhaps the greatest honour comes from one of his comrades who said, "I would fight to serve with Corporal Dan Keighran in the future." So would the rest of the ADF.